What's up, guys? Welcome back to another video. So, in my last video, I talked about how I'm going to be introducing a discussion series where we talk about teenage topics and we get a view of the parental side as well. So, today, this is the video of the first series, and with me, I have my sister Sami Chakravarti, who is a 10-year-old and she studies in 6th grade. And along with that, I have my mom and my dad, Mr. Sumit Chakravarti and Mrs. Rian Chakravarti. So let's get into it, guys, and I hope you enjoy the video. So, Mr. Dad, can you go first?
Yeah, hi Rishit. It was a good idea to discuss about issues of the teenagers. We keep on discussing about the teenage issues at home, but yeah, it was a good idea from your side to have it recorded and then probably play it in your website so that kids and teenagers of your age can, and also the parents can uh, learn something from it and probably adapt something of those sorts. So yeah, Rishit, social media addiction. I think, yeah, your generation and probably a few years elder than you, your generation has been the most exposed to social media. And when social media initially came, it was probably only one of them, probably a Facebook. That was the extent of social media. But now, in your age, you guys have TikTok, you guys have Snapchat, you guys have Instagram, you guys have God knows what, and I might not be even fully aware of how many more social media apps and etc. you guys are utilizing. This takes up a lot of time and energy and bandwidth of your life, your day-to-day life. So, what is it that you guys get out of being so addicted to social media and multiple social medias?
Okay, so Lani, would you like to answer or?
No, because I don't really have fun in
Okay,
social
so
media.
I'll answer. So I think a big thing about social media is that you connect with different people. Like you said, you like when we were in 2000, like 2000 2005, the only thing you had was like in Facebook as the only social media platform, and you would not have many friends unless you were the person who would go to a party every other week or connect with a lot of people. But the thing about social media is that when so different platforms like Snapchat, Instagram, Facebook, Reddit, TikTok came out, it allowed people to connect with more people in less time and in less energy. Like imagine going to a party every week or every other week and then connecting with different people. And sometimes the party might not even be the same place. You might have a different gathering at a different party. So you don't know who you're going to be. So there's no continuity in that relationship. Which is why social media is important because you can talk to one person for as long as you like, or as long as both people like. So it helps, social media helps us to stay connected beyond the boundaries of the school walls, if you're a student.
Okay, I beg to differ here. I feel that social media, instead of bringing people closer, has distanted people. I'll give you an example. Earlier, we used to call our friends or anybody in the family for their special occasions, right? But now, people wish everybody through social media, Facebook or Instagram or any other social media handle. I see mothers wishing their child on social media instead of probably calling them. I mean, which I somehow it doesn't. I mean, I don't kind of what to say like it.
So yeah, it sounds what Rina says. I was not aware of social media going to that extent in terms of the parents. Where the parents are wishing their children over social media. It looks like more of you got to be a part of social media to be socially accepted, like kind of peer pressure for parents is what it seems. If I am not wishing my kid on the Instagram, what will my friends say? So it seems social media is not only creating peer pressure on kids, but it seems to be creating a lot of pressure on the parents as well.
I agree. I think I think that social media is actually making kids more unfriendly because if they have social media all the time, they won't really go out and meet new people, and then on on social media you can just say hi, hello. No one actually knows about your personality, but then in real life it will just become harder for you to talk to people.
Yeah, so I also feel the same. I mean, one, you when you see a person's on your friend's account on social media, again Instagram or Facebook, I feel you get influenced by them and somehow, in the sense, whatever kind of pictures they will be posting, and Instagram, for example, where they are at the in the current situation, they will be maybe posting pictures of their home, their whatever new products they've got, new gifts they've got, and somehow it's just a lot of distraction. I feel.
But then also, like you said, that we used to call our friends. Like we call our friends now with the help of social media. Like hardly you'll see anyone calling someone through a landline or like a mobile phone, like using the radio communicate frequencies. We call them using things like Instagram, Facebook Messenger, Twitter. That's what we use them calling now. We don't use them to call. We don't use phones or landlines anymore. So in that way, hasn't it also helped to, let's say, build a friendship or relationship? And also the thing is that now a relationship, everyone knows that the more spend you time in a relationship, that's how deeper the bond grows. And now you're not just stuck to the four walls of the class, the four walls of the school boundaries to talk to each other, communicate. Now you can actually go beyond that, and like when you have free time, you can take your phone, you can text them, or if you have a lot of time, you can even maybe call them using social media.
So here we are probably talking about, you said we can use social media for free time. Remember we're talking about social media addiction. There's a difference between social media being used in the free time and an addiction. So every technological advancement will have its pros and cons, good and bad. It's when it goes out of hand and it becomes it does more bad than probably good is what we need to avoid. We cannot wish away social media. That's no longer a possibility. But it's for as parents and as kids to understand how much of social media is good and how much it becomes an addiction and it can have dire consequences. For example, let me give you some insight as a parent. I came on Instagram quite late, and even now I don't have too many followers, nor do I follow too many people. But I have seen Instagram accounts of from through other parents, because we keep on discussing it in private office with our colleague, with our good colleague friends. Boys and girls are posting pictures which are to the extent of the kids have have the probability of getting exploited, because the kind of pictures they are shooting of themselves and posting on social media is not age appropriate. And I'm not talking about boys and girls either. Both are doing the same thing. And then you can see on those comments, if the girl has posted some picture of hers dressed in a certain manner, which is completely influenced by page 3, which is completely influenced by social media influencers who are paid to dress in a certain manner and behave in a certain manner, which kids of your age did not necessarily do it. For them, that way of dressing, that way of talking, that way of behaving becomes socially accepted, because that is what you are continuously getting bombarded. So the kids start behaving and wearing such kind of clothes or start behaving in that manner. Now what happens is not only that, apart from that, I have seen whenever a girl posts a picture which is slightly exposed, I have read comments which are, if any parents read those comments, they will fall off the chair. They are, even probably at our age, we wouldn't, even when we talk in private, we wouldn't make such comments. But those comments are openly made on those pictures. I have a real doubt that the person who is making those comments are not physically known to that girl. They are unknown people whom she has befriended over the social media, and then when they post those comments, which are to use a very soft word, lewd, her friends actually clap on those comments. Now, understand the kind of peer pressure that girl or that boy is going through, even without understanding. She posts a picture getting influenced, which is not appropriate to her age. Some stranger makes lewd comments on those on her pictures. Her kid friends, whom she knows, actually applauds and appreciates the lewd comment. And now the girl or the boy, for that matter, thinks and feels that this is how I can gain popularity. And she keeps on increasing, she or he keeps on upping the antenna. Probably getting into pictures or posting pictures or photographs which are even more, if I may use the word revealing. Now I know there will be one section of the society saying that what is revealing and what is not revealing. I'm not talking about, I don't want to get into that debate because I am not in favor of control of what people wear. At the same time, there is an age appropriateness. At an appropriate age, when the human mind is able to differentiate between good, bad, and what he or she wants to do because she feels it or he feels it, rather than doing it because he or she is getting influenced by someone else. At that point of time, any individual can do whatever he or she likes. But at this point of time, I am not sure he or she understands what she is doing and what it entails. And these are real examples. I would request any parent to open their kids' Instagram account and look at their what kind of selfies or pics they have posted for themselves and see the comments. I can challenge openly, let anyone come back and tell me, the more revealing the cloth is for a girl, the more number of likes and comments it has. Take my word, I can stand by it anyway. Now, is it true? Do you feel the same?
Yeah, I would agree to that. Now, for like a solution towards the problem, I think one thing that's happened is like how you said about technological advancements. So this is this new thing that's happening in 2020 across all mobile brands, most of them, the big ones, iPhones, Redmi, Vivo, Oppo, whatever you want, like Samsung. Now there's this thing called screen time, and a parent can actually like you get a child phone. What a parent can do is you can scroll down the settings. This thing called screen time or display usage, device usage, something like that. They can go under that and then they can set a limit. So they can set a limit on that, and then when they set the limit, the child actually has just that much time to use the phone. So that can also help the child de-addict, and then at the same time parents can go to the Instagram feed or Facebook feed, and then monitor that closely.
Yeah, definitely. That's one way of controlling the screen time. I agree. But here, let's come back to the main center point of the discussion, which is social media addiction. And why it happens, how it happens, is it beneficial? Do teenagers need it? If they need it, how much? I am not here for passing judgment on the topic or passing judgment on any kid or any parent. But it's a relevant topic which we should discuss, and we are discussing with our own kids who have their own views, and it is giving us also new insights into what they think. Yeah, Rina? You're saying something?
Yeah, I was saying that like when you talk about social media addiction, so these kids, these teenagers or boys and girls, I would say, a certain age, they also, when they post their pictures or any whatever post about anything, so the constant urge to even to check the number of likes they've received or the comments they have received pushes them to be on the phone all the time. And I do not know what kind of high it gives. They keep waiting for comments, likes, and everything. Is what I wanted to say.
I agree. I think the more new things are that are added to the apps, the more addicted the kids get.
Sanu seems to be agreeing to all the what the parents are saying, but let me clarify here. She also has a kind of addiction which we all know about in the family, right?
Okay.
She constantly watches YouTube hours after hours after hours after hours. And although she watches YouTube which are based on art and craft, but even that is an addiction. Can that lead to a social media addiction? Yes, there's a possibility. YouTube, by the way, is a kind of social media. Is a kind of social
It
media.
is social media.
So that addiction also falls under this part. Now, apart from you said that Rishit said that you get to make more friends. We are humans, I believe, and for us, physical contact is what we seek. Probably, I will not be able to quote any scientists or etc. But human beings or or most animals, we are more attuned or accustomed or whatever you call it to physical contact. In case of social media, there is no physical contact. You can have hundreds of friends and they would all be clapping for you when you're happy and probably putting up likes when you're sad and so on and so forth, different kind of things. But it has been proven and it has been seen often that if the person goes through a real emotional or psychological need, none of these online friends would ever be able to help, because when you need and seek uh, assurance or a shoulder to cry on, social media doesn't solve the problem in terms of human physiology. You need companionship. Yeah, probably 500 years down the line, we might have all, even companionship might be robots and all. But till that time we evolve to that level, physical contact and physical proximity is something human beings seek for. Social media does not provide that.
Okay, so okay, but like on this, the positive side is that now, especially in our school days, you have like 8 hours of like which you spend 7 of them, 7.5 of them studying, and we literally get like 20 minutes for lunch break and like maybe a half an hour for lunch break. And in that half an hour lunch break, you have to eat our lunch as well, and the 20-minute breakfast, you eat the breakfast as well. So if you even take 10 minutes to breakfast and 15 minutes to the lunch, that's 25. So you have 25 minutes left to spend with your friends or play or whatever you want to do. Now also, many people like sports. So they might want to spend some time on sports as well. People who don't just sit inside and talk. Now imagine just spending 25 minutes with your friends, in an 8 hour or 7 hour day where you spend literally only 25 minutes of your time with your friends. That too, you might have many friends. You might have two friends in this session, two friends in that, two friends in mine. So you have like 6 friends and you divide that time equally. So that makes it tough, and that's where social media comes in. Let's say you talk to one guru like those. Let's say there's 3 sections. Talk to your 2 friends in A for 25 minutes, and then you can talk to B and C over text if it's not that important. And then the next day, if it's like something important, like B needs some help, or your friends in B need some help, they can literally go to B. And if A and C are not having any problem, they can literally just text them when they're reaching home. So what it gives is it gives you more attention per person in social life.
Okay, I would like to say we also have gone through the same phase. Been to school, I think we never had that breakfast break as well, if I remember correctly. We used to have lunch break, maybe 20-25 minutes, something like that. Same school hours, like from 8 to 2 or something. So we had friends, and thankfully we did not have social media that time. Forget social media, we did not have phones either. So I think we connected better with the real friends, not the virtual friends. I mean, because there was no phones, so you had a chance to go and meet your friends. You had a chance to maybe call through landlines. Those were available that time. And even in school, while having lunch, we used to sit together, or maybe while playing sports, we used to play together. So that's how you bond, either while playing, while eating, even while studying.
So what happens in physical friendship, and that's our experience, it sustains for a very long time. Most of us believe, of our generation at least, our generation before, the childhood friends are for your life. I am not sure this generation, people who make BFF, the so-called BFF over social media, they will be having that kind of bonding for which lasts a life, the whole life. Now, as such, your argument or your point of view of saying that I am able to meet up with 4, 5 friends who are in different classes and etc. But remember, in every, as Nina said, in every age, school timing was more or less similar. School free time was more or less similar. Within those breaks of the school period is when you bond with people of similar interests and similar thoughts. And after that, there's the playground and etc. Yeah, I mean, probably some data will throw up. The strongest of bonds happen, or strongest of friendship and bonds get developed during sports. That's how I have seen it to a great extent. I am not sure whether it's scientific or not, but sports friendship sustain and last for a very long time, which is not at all possible over the social media. At best, you can play virtual tennis and etc. But that doesn't. but those virtual games never give you the thrill. Winning a game, sweating out, has a different thrill from winning a game which you are playing in your sitting in a chair. And we didn't mention or we didn't talk about the what do you call the threats or the dangers of social media.
So there are like many threats, like
No, so we would like to probably all our viewers are aware of the many threats. What I would be interested in is, have you or your sister Sanvi or has any of your friends been exposed to dangers lurking in the social media, knowingly and unknowingly? And we don't need names here, but you can probably say a girl or a boy. So that gives us the perspective of whether it's a female or a male. Whether they've been exposed to some danger of social media, unknown people, unknown person,
like I don't know
some
if
threat.
I don't know if this is really danger or not. So in last year, I had this friend, and one day I came across this story where they said that she has an account, she has an Instagram account of her own, but then someone catfished her. Catfishing is basically when you make an account saying that it's that person, but it's actually not. It's basically a fake account. So that was one thing that I came across. The same thing I came across with another friend of mine, and same thing she got catfished, and then someone made an account on saying that it's her account, but then it was actually hers. So usually what happens is that these people, like if someone tells them there's a catfish going on, they'll just be like, guys, they'll put on the story and be like, guys, can you please go report this? And like if you get a certain number of reports on Instagram, the account gets deleted automatically by community guidelines. So that's one danger I know my friends have been exposed to.
So, what are the dangers lurking behind catfish? Would they imagine or would they discuss with you, or do you know what can catfishing
Catfishing
actually?
can, like,
How can they actually harm the person?
catfishing, the most I think prevalent and easiest thing to do out of catfishing is extortion. It's just extortion, like
For what? Extortion for what? For extortion, you need some reason or some reason you need for extortion.
like you just be like, I have a fake account on your name, and if you don't give me this much money, and if all and like something like that.
So
And then,
let me imagine what a catfishing website can or page can do. Uh, so catfishing is basically, you mean to say, it's impostoring your identity online,
yeah,
right?
it's based like an example is like Sanvi has an Instagram account, so then I go make an Instagram account and say that it's Sanvi's.
That's what I'm saying. It's
Yeah.
impostoring.
Yeah,
And then I can post whatever crap I want about Sanvi, right?
yeah,
In that page, right?
yeah.
What
And if people believe it, like
people will believe it. People don't know it as catfished. By the time the person actually realizes that his or her account has been catfished and she reports it to different people, it will take some 5, 10, probably 12 days.
yeah, easily.
By that time, the damage is done and out. And remember, whatever you post in social media and the internet never gets erased. It's there for life. Now, on a funny note, imagine somebody on your catfished Instagram handle, somebody posts a picture, let's say, in which you are shown eating, I mean, hypothetical, eating shit. Obviously, you will deny that. But that picture will remain forever in life in the virtual. Now, what I've said is not dangerous. Eating shit is okay, it's funny. But imagine what if something much, much, much more dangerous can happen. Morphine? Morph pictures of yours can be posted. And the danger has been done. By the time Instagram or somebody deletes this account, but it is already floated to so many thousands and hundreds and millions of people probably over the world. So, there are innumerous dangers which are lurking, and it's due to peer pressure that kids or teenagers have account in every social media possible. Okay, without naming names, you have, let's say, whoever your good friend is or whoever your friends are most of them present in most of the social media?
Like Facebook, I don't think any teams are actually going on. Instagram, yes, almost all of my teenagers are on Instagram. Snapchat, yes. I don't, if you consider WhatsApp,
Yeah, WhatsApp social media, absolutely.
social media, and WhatsApp as well. And if you consider Hangouts, social media as well, then
Yes.
Hangouts as well.
Yes.
But you can't consider Hangouts.
Every friend of yours is available on every social media which is possible. TikTok, almost everyone is there. Almost.
I think most of the females, I don't think any males, like, in my knowing, I don't think anyone actually there.
Okay. So you see, the more the number of social medias, kids are subscribing to each of them. Now, coming back to your question or your point that with the social media we are able to connect and discuss and have relationship or a bonding. Why do we need so many social medias? If you want to bond, one Instagram is fine, good enough.
Look,
Bond
like some people are not on Instagram.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. So they can be called onto Instagram. You are saying
You
social
can call
media.
them. You don't know. Like usually, if you call people, they just don't join. They'll be like, I don't want to do it, or it's just boring. It's just cringy. They won't do it straight up.
So is it just to is it just to get your friends or get connected to your friends, or it is just because of peer pressure? I mean, because my so and so friend is on Instagram, or my so and so friend is on TikTok, so even I should be there.
I honestly have no idea why TikTok is even.
I mean, TikTok is just an example. It could be Facebook.
I mean,
We're not
TikTok
talking
is
about you particularly. We're talking about your age group people.
So I think a lot of people do accept follow. Like I don't accept follow requests from people. I have literally 154 requests pending. I just don't even accept them because I don't know who they are. But a lot of
150 pending followers on Instagram.
yeah.
Great.
But I don't because I don't know them. Whoever I know, I let them follow. I don't mind that. But then again, like a lot of people, they ask for shout outs in the story and etc. Just for the sake of getting more followers and being able to flex on a party or something like that. I have these many followers, and that's kind of peer pressure.
So the higher number of followers you have, the more you can brag.
Yeah, just like a car. Like the better car you have, you can flex better than the Bugatti than the Toyota.
So yeah, that in a way will definitely put pressure on the other guys. But interesting interesting fact. You said that you have 150 pending friendship requests in Instagram, but you have not approved them.
Mm-hmm.
What made you not approve them? What was it?
Okay, so when I started, I think I started Instagram in 7th grade, and then so I usually like to research every topic, and I thought about the positive. I saw the positive effects, to the negative effects, and then you talked about morphing. One, we talked about fake account creation. That's two.
When you say we talked about, what do you mean? I didn't understand. We talked about.
Like morphing, like where.
I understand morphing.
Yeah.
So we talked about morphing means I didn't understand. So what prevented you? Or what
Yeah,
is preventing you?
the morphing part and the part that people create fake accounts of you. I don't want that to happen. So I restricted my followers to whoever I know. Initially, I remember my account was public for 2 days, and then I realized how to make it private.
So why did you make it private? Oh, I mean,
For
why did
me,
you
what
make it-
happened was that I didn't want someone who I didn't know to be going through my feed and
And why was it you didn't want?
Hmm?
Why was it you didn't
Yeah,
want?
I didn't want it because I don't want people going through my feed and taking pictures and morphing it into somewhere and then social damage.
So, what I was trying to probably find out or guess, did you have discussions around social media and the threats of social media with your parents when you were on the verge of entering the social media world?
Mm-hmm.
Did they discuss with you?
Mm-hmm.
Did they explain to you?
Mm-hmm.
And post that, you probably further took an interest and then read about it.
Yeah.
And you found them, you found them really, really important to be
Dangerous.
given weightage.
Yeah.
Dangerous or not is something, yeah. So, are you saying that? Are you saying in a way that it becomes the responsibility and the duty of the parents to have repeated discussions with kids, teenagers, about the threats of social media addiction and dangers of social media?
Not
Repeated.
only that, lot of topics, but yeah, social media addiction, social media threats are included in that. Because parents have better knowledge, deeper understanding. On general basis, they have a deeper understanding of the entire topic, and they can present one view to them. The child can actually go research another view on it. So that's how it helps.
Yeah, you want to say something?
Yeah. So I just wanted to ask you. So who are the followers or the friends you have on Instagram, for example? So are the people you know personally or you've met them, right? So you don't have anybody like say friends of your friends whom you never met, just heard about or probably met virtually. So there would be some cases like that as well, right? With you and possibly with the other teenagers as well.
I don't think it's there with me because I like.
Okay, because remember we had one instance, a bad instance rather, when there was one follower of yours whom you did not know or had not met. He was apparently a friend of your friend, and then you were pulled in some conversation between the two of them.
No, I don't think so because I go through my followers very carefully. Like,
And then you're careful now.
yeah.
Okay. So that brings about a very important topic. At times, what happens? Your friend's friend send you a request and you befriend them, and you think, or when I say you, I mean somebody can actually think that since this person is a friend of my friend, he's a known person, he's a genuine person, he's a good person, he can be my friend also. Most of the time, or hardly any time, you would be asking your friend, do you actually physically know this guy whom you have befriended? I don't think most of us do that. So in actuality, you are befriending somebody who is unknown to everyone, thinking that he's a friend's friend, and hence he must be a genuine guy. If there is the virtual world, things are so murky and so much of possibilities are there, and why it becomes important for kids to be uh, I would say beware of the situation is because since you guys are not exposed to the complete technological situation in social media, you are probably not able to fathom what action can lead to an action which you might regret. For example, a friend's friend who is unknown to the friend also, and hence he is unknown to you, then probably he is a bad guy.
So I think like that can happen, which is why I said that parents need to monitor who followers are.
But kids don't want. Can you tell us one kid who allows the parents to monitor their friend list and their posts?
I do.
Messages and all.
My mom she checks my text like what I think every week.
Do you allow me to? I mean,
No, I let you go through it. Yeah, I don't let you scroll through the
Are you
text.
sure you do not delete any before I
No, I don't
go
delete.
through? Okay, I'll just.
Okay, so that's you. Let's talk about in general, teenagers in general. Would they allow their parents to? Would they allow their parents happily to check
Nah,
the?
not happily. Definitely not happily.
I don't think so.
Because like that they might take us as an invasion of privacy and something like that. But I really think it's important because I'm not saying go to DMs. I'm like DMs. Even I don't let my mom go to the DMs, but followers just tell them.
But how would a parent know just looking at the follower whether the follower is a genuine person or a dangerous person?
Usually, if you know a person physically, you follow them back, so like you can have a look at the feed or something.
With Instagram and most social medias, they have DPs on which you can put anything. You can put a face, you can put your face, you can put somebody else's face. A boy can be a girl, girl can be a boy, boy can be a cartoon,
You do
cartoon can
not
be a
actually know who's behind the picture. I mean,
Yeah, so you ask them,
Yeah.
you know who this person is, like ask them the name, ask them are they in your grade, your junior.
But that you said most of your friends would consider as invasion of privacy.
Yeah, I mean like yeah, they will, but then parents will just have to go through it because they. I'm not saying again. I'm not saying go through DMs. That's up to the child. So I personally don't do it. But then going through followers, I don't mind because like I'll tell you happily who my followers are.
What are
Sandy,
DMs?
would you like to say something?
What are DMs?
The
Direct messages.
the text.
Direct messages.
Isn't every message a direct message?
No, the kind of message which you put in WhatsApp is direct message, and then there are comments. You can put
Comments are
comments also,
different.
and you can put direct messages also. In the group you can directly message to your friend without
set
putting,
number of people.
without putting into the group. So that's a different topic.
I put it
So, what do you feel? What do you feel that kids should share their
You think they should
DMs
share
with the
DMs
parents
and
or to get?
follow list.
I think yes, because if there is something wrong and the kid doesn't know, then the parents can help them.
At least help prevent maybe. I mean, still not like parents also don't know everything about
Yeah.
social media. So,
Agree.
One
Yes,
another.
but they can't.
but
try.
it has a higher possibility, obviously,
Higher possibility of.
preventing the danger.
Okay.
Another important thing I feel about, I mean, I would say about social media, I feel, especially in Instagram, I've seen it with Rishit's account on itself. There are some unwanted pops which keeps coming up, and some unwanted advertisements, probably, which are not, again, age appropriate and could be at times alluring as well and misguiding as well.
But then you really can't do about that because ads are run out through servers.
So can I come in?
Okay.
Okay. So that's how you see you yourself gave away your limitation of knowledge on this particular matter. And you are one of the well-read in terms of social media and other things. I know that. I'm not boasting, but you are well-read. Imagine what kind of poor information or less information your friend might be having, or your teenagers over the world might be having on this topic. Ad tracking. There's a thing called ad tracking.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever you do in the internet, whatever, somewhere or the other, some app or somebody is tracking it. And every pop-up which comes on your page is a result of artificial intelligence telling that this person, there is a high probability of this person joining this website or getting hooked onto particular advertisement. It's done with a server, yes, but it's entirely based on what is happening on your pages. The friends you make, the friend who they make, the comments which are there on your picture, the kind of picture you post, and in terms of laptop, iPad, the kind of websites you visit, even that is checked. And Instagram and all this TikTok and all these people throw up relevant matter based on your browsing history. Now, whatever you do, you can say, I will turn off my browsing history, I will put incognito mode, privacy settings. These apps or these websites have enough and more ways of tracking you, and they will track you continuously. Basically, the rule is very simple. If you are in the social media, if you are in the internet, don't expect any privacy. If you have that simple rule, a lot of things will automatically fall in place. Now, There may be a lot of gyan and debate about Google and Apple and this and that, but there's one simple rule. If you are on the internet, if you are on social media, you are as naked as you are in the bathroom, if I can use the word. So that's how simple it is. And that's why, and as your mom rightly said, yes, in your growing age, a lot of things which pop up on your page can actually allure and entice kids of your age to participate in those pages, which is not age appropriate. When the time comes, all of you will be exposed to everything which any human being is exposed to eventually. It's only the timing which matters. So good point which Rina brought out. Anything else you want to share with us regarding social media addiction from the teenage group?
I think the most important part of it is parental guidance. Because, yeah, it's like natural. Like, you see, at the end of the day, no kids want to study. Like, most of the kids, they just don't want to study. Everyone would rather prefer sitting around a day, Netflix and chill, texting a friend. That's pure human nature because no one likes to do the work they don't like. So I think it's really important for parents to step in over here and monitor. I'm not saying that cut off screen time, but then monitor it closely and monitor the entire social media as well. Because, like, yeah, because you just need to, and that way save the child from being bad one day.
And good that you at least believe in that. But do you think that kids, or including you yourself, would like parents to constantly remind you or guide you regarding social media, being on phones or laptops for any kind of social media game, or any screen time? Would you like parents to constantly nag you or at least guide you or preach you about that?
There's a lot of things you don't like.
Sorry?
There's a lot of things you don't like, but we're doing it anyway. It's just thing of you need to do it, you don't need to do it. Like studying, we need to do it. How much ever we hate studying, how much ever we hate getting up test papers from the internet, you have to do it at the end of the day. You don't have an option. Like it's straight up. You want a good future, you want a good job, want a good house, want a Lamborghini to flex on with your friends. You need to do it. It's as simple as that, and that's the same rule which basically applies to social media.
Okay, so one you were saying, sorry to interrupt, one you were saying parental guidance.
Yeah,
But does it apply for most kids or does it apply for very few of them?
it applies. See, there has to be an extent to it. You can't have a parent literally coming up every second on the phone and then sliding through DMs and reading it. Like no parent should do that.
And if any kid is not willing or let's say not happy about the parental control, should the parent let him be or let her be as she is, or should they enforce parental control?
There should be a balance between like you have like if you're going through a child's DMs, I'm pretty sure this is going to start hating on you. Not even kidding, this is going to start hating on you, and I think that's something that parents should not do. DMs are like you have to like if you're going to make a transition from a child to an adult, there has to be a certain amount of privacy the child gets. Obviously, you can't invade his or her life and then take control of it. But at the same time, that you can't let him be all loosey goosey, running out, letting him out, letting him or her out, and let them do whatever they want. There has to be that perfect balance between freedom and propaganda, if you would like to call it.
So I think that opens up a different topic for a different day. As you said, it should not be enforced, and yeah, kids should.
Kids should understand. Kids should be understanding this case, and
So
parents should not shout at them or beat them up. Sit down, try to explain them. Doesn't matter if it's a school night. Explain to them 12 o'clock in the night. No one cares if you're doing school one day in your life. There's nothing going to happen with the body. The teacher doesn't care. You need to get your facts straight. You need to be secure on social media.
Okay, so this is a different discussion probably which you can continue.
Anything, Sunny, you want to say regarding this? The parents should guide or kids?
I think kids should let their parents check their DMs.
Okay. With that, we'll come to the end of this discussion because I think it was a good discussion from perspective of two different generations, and I hope both the kids' generation and the parents' generation would take up a few things from here and try and see if they can manage the family better. It was nice talking to you, Rashid. It was nice talking to you, Sanvi. We intend to continue doing this kind of discussion with between the two groups so that probably teenage issues can get discussed in a real time with facts and relevant examples. So yeah, it was a nice talking to both of you.
Thank
And
you.
thank
Thank you
you.
so much. Thanks so much.
Thanks.
Have a